My guest today is not only a name that you will recognize in the world of baseball, but he's also an author who is going to share lessons in how to be a leader in life. His book, and I really love this title, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up. Food for thought. This is going to challenge us on how to create a positive, winning culture, whether we're in the field or in the office.
Have you ever felt like giving up, quitting, throwing in the towel? Welcome to Never Ever Give Up Hope featuring Carol Graham. She's an author, health coach, and motivational speaker. Backed into a corner multiple times in her life, Carol shares with you stories on how she overcame some of the toughest obstacles a person can go through in life, but refused to give up hope. Rather than admit defeat, an opportunity was presented, and it involves each and every one of you. Carol will feature spectacular guests who will share their messages of hope, encouragement, and their inspiration to prove why life's adversities only make you stronger. And now, welcoming the host of the show, here's Carol Graham.
Is Claudio Reilsono. He is an author, a head baseball coach at Carnegie Mellon University for 16 years. He is general manager of the Global Scouting Bureau for 20 years, and he's podcast host who interviews sports legends from the 70s, 80s, and 90s. Well, that would be something that I would definitely be interested in, and I'm sure that he has a great audience that loves to hear these stories as well. So Claudio has been on numerous television talk shows, and we're so honored to have him share his story, which is probably going to be quite unique and not maybe what you expect. So stay tuned, and as he shares his story on Never Ever Give Up Hope. Welcome, Claudio.
Hello, thank you so much for having me on.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm not a sports person per se, but I love
Either,
stories. So anytime, whether it's whatever kind of story it is, I'm anxious to hear yours.
well, I'm anxious to tell them to you.
So the first thing I want to chat with you about is you've had many accomplishments. In fact, as I read your accomplishments, I almost got tired. There's such a long list of them. It is awesome, and each one I just thought a little bit about, and I know whatever you want to share during this interview about any of those accomplishments, that's great. You're not bragging, I'm asking. So tell us about those early years when friends and family were getting on your case about doing something with your life.
Well, I can actually tell you when it all started as far as the dream was concerned. It was August 19th, 1973. I was 8 years old. My uncle worked at Three River Stadium, which is where the Pirates and the Steelers used to play. And my parents were from Italy. They weren't into baseball. They liked boxing and soccer, right? So
Mm.
I went to that game and just to go, nothing big, nothing was really hitting me until I seen that building. And to me, I have pictures of it all over my office. I have some statues of it in my living room, and I just love that building. But anyway, so something was kind of going on with me. Then we go into the stadium, and I still remember that scent to this day. It was a long time ago,
Hmm.
and I'm 56 now. I was 8 then, as I said. So he took me to the Allegheny Club, which is where he worked. He was a general manager or assistant manager there, and it was basically a restaurant inside of the stadium where you could watch the games. So then he takes me downstairs in the locker rooms, and a lot of those players were getting dressed and they were talking to me, and they had these bright white uniforms on with their pirate logo and their numbers. And then somehow I kind of snuck on to the field by myself, and there was nobody there but the grounds crew and me, and 58,000 plus empty seats. It was like I had toothpicks in my eyes. They were like so wide
Oh,
open,
wow.
and this is before the game even started. Okay, then I watched the game, and I remember coming home, not saying a word. My uncle said, "Did you have a good time?" Yeah, but that was it. That's all I said to him. So I get home, and my dad asked me the same question. He said, "Did you have a good time?" I said, "I did, but I think I know what I want to do with the rest of my life." And he said, "What's that?" He said, I said, "I want to be in professional baseball." That's all I
Oh
said.
my goodness.
Yeah. And he put his hand on my shoulder, and I'll never forget this, Carol. He said, "Well, if that's what you want to do, then me and your mom will do everything we can to give you every opportunity in the world to make your dreams come true." And my mom said, as long as I'm a good boy and do good in school and all that kind of stuff, they would support me. And I'll tell you what, you mentioned at the beginning of the show some accomplishments or whatever. If it was not for my parents, their love and support and belief in me, and them sticking up for me and motivating me and giving me every opportunity to chase my dreams and make them come true, I guarantee you would not be talking to me today. And there's an old Italian saying, if you ever see a turtle on top of a fence post, he didn't get there alone. Well, wherever it is that I'm at, it's certainly wouldn't have never happened without my parents, that's for sure. But that's, I always say I left the house that day worrying about Batman and Iron Man and Popeye, for those who remember Popeye.
Oh, yes.
And I came back with a dream. So it was just, that's the day. And that's where it all started.
Now, you did mention something when I was reading over your bio, though, that there were people who said that you were not being realistic and they tried to discourage you from that. So tell us about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately. Now it's fortunately. Back then it was unfortunate, but there were some family members. It's one thing, Carol, for me to say not to believe in you. It's another thing for people to not want to see you achieve anything. That's two different, totally different things. And these people who were constantly saying, it's time to quit baseball, grow up and be a man, quit buffaloing your parents, which in other words, quit, lying, BS.
Right.
Be realistic. It's never going to happen. It's a pipe dream. You're going to be a failure. You're going to be a flop. Over and this was for years, and that just added more pressure to me. But then I said, you know what? I'm going to use my worst enemy to be my best ally. And as much as I love my parents, and as much as I wanted to make my parents proud of me, boy, I tell you, the people that were against me, I really, really wanted to shut them up. I really wanted to show them that things were going to happen. And it took a long time, but it did hurt because a couple of these people I really cared for a lot. And they just broke my heart because it never, ever stopped. And even when things, even when I did get the jobs that I got and the opportunities that I got and awards or whatever it is that I received, they still could not say congratulations. They still could not say one thing positive. One guy tried to take credit for it, which, trust me when I tell you,
wow.
he just no credit for it. But that's just the way people are, and for no reason. It isn't like I bragged about anything because I never did. It isn't like they didn't have good lives and making money because they did and they were. They just did not want to see me accomplish what I set out to accomplish for whatever reason. I mean, jealousy, or maybe they didn't want my dad's son. And my dad raised these. My dad was wonderful with these people. So there was absolutely zero reason for them to be that way with me other than them being idiots.
Well said. But I think you hit the nail on the head. I think jealousy is an extremely negative and powerful motivator. And people use it, because they want to do whatever it is that you have done, even whether they're successful or not. They want to accomplish what you've done. So if you've done it and they haven't, well, then jealousy, lurks its ugly head, as they say. So probably that's what it was.
That's true. But again, they were doing very well in life. They were making money. They may not have been happy personally, but
yeah, that could be too.
Their end.
That could be too.
But they were doing fine. They just did not want me to. They just wanted to see me fail, so they could tell you, "I told you so."
Oh,
now,
wow.
Now, what good? Let's say things would have never worked out. Okay, now you told me. Okay, you're a failure. You're a flop. I told you it wasn't going to happen. All right, now what? Okay, but. Thankfully, it did.
What's the low point? What can you share with us as far as a time in your life when there was maybe a hopelessness or a serious concern and a low point in your life that you didn't know if you're going to make it?
Oh boy, there's a lot of those.
Okay, well, highlight a couple. Those are good because they're encouraging. Because look at you now.
Well, thank you. The first one where I was just gonna quit everything was. My mom and my parents and I were extremely close. I mean, I have to always talk about my parents, but my mom, Ida, who we named my daughter after, she passed away in October 8th, 1988. She was only 48.
Mm,
And that just devastated me.
of
Devastated.
course.
And I remember going to the funeral, the funeral home, and this one idiot stopped me. I could tell you, it was actually 3 feet from the podium, where you sign your name type thing.
Yes, yes.
And he steps in front of me and he says, "Now it's really time to grow up and quit baseball and be a man." Now, what
Wow.
that had to do with anything,
Yeah.
it was just, again, being an idiot. He was a bad guy. This guy used to fluff his hair up in the front to cover the horns.
I love that.
So anyway, so I remember going to the casket, and it was the first time that I ever kissed my mom that she didn't kiss me back.
Oh,
And I was 23, she was 48. I held her hand, and I tell you what, I was just, tears were just falling on her hand, and my dad came over to me, and he was going through a lot because him and my mom were very close, and but he I never forget, Carol. He said, "I know what you're thinking. Stop thinking that." And that was, I just was going to quit baseball. I'll tell you exactly what I was going to do, and I really haven't shared this with many people, but I'll share it with your audience. I was going to quit baseball, get a job working at the airport, which is nothing wrong with that, but that's not what the dream was, and just move on with my life and just the hell with it. I was done. And he said, "You can't quit." He said, and I didn't say anything to him, but he just knew that's what I was thinking. He said, "Because your mom promised you that she would fight. She had cancer, and she did fight. And you promised her that you'd never give up, ever.
good.
That you would never quit, you would never give up." He said, "You have to keep going." And as he's telling me that, and I'm just telling you what happened, I'm not trying to be corny or dramatic, but you start hearing that Rocky music, the horns,
Right,
the
right,
trumpet.
right.
And then I grabbed my mom's hand. I said, "Okay." And I get choked up talking about it, but I said, "You didn't quit. I'm not going to quit." And I went from there, and so that was a turning moment. But I always like to tell people. Well, I mentioned that August 19th again, 73. Maybe this will be good for the end of the show, but this is important too for your listeners. That day, the starting pitcher, his name was Jim Rooker. Jim and I are very good friends to this day. We play in celebrity golf tournaments together. He's done some scouting for me. He's been on my podcast. The first baseman's name was Al Oliver. He and I were inducted into the same Hall of Fame a few years ago. The second baseman's name was Rennie Stennett. Rennie invited me to the 1979 40-year anniversary Pirate reunion a couple years ago. The left fielder's name was Willie Stargell, and I won a Willie Stargell Lifetime Achievement Award a few years ago. Now, if you'd have told me when I was 8
Yeah.
that these things would happen, that's you're crazy. What are you talking about? So I always like to tell people whenever I do any speaking, there's nothing special about me, Carol, but things did happen for me, and things can happen for people. Just think of that story. I was 8 years old, and those guys were playing on that field, and they were bigger than life to me. And now they're friends of mine, or I play golf with them, or they do some work with me, or they appear on my show. And matter of fact, 3 of those guys appeared on my show. And so that was a turning point. And then, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but or the show, but in January of 2001, and there's a story behind that that's pretty good. I got my dream came true. I was coaching high school and college ball. Yes, that's great, but I didn't have those 3 letters next to my name, and that was pro, until January of 2001, where James Gamble, the owner of the Global Scouting Bureau, called me and offered me the job that I have today. And the next year I was named general manager, and things went from there. So it's happened so many years ago, but these things still get to me because I'm very grateful. I really am.
I'm guessing that a lot of these things that happened in your life then were the reason that you wrote your book.
Some of it, that's more going to be an autobiography, to be honest with you.
Okay.
To motivate people and to let people know that things can happen,
Right.
and not to give up. But as far as the book is concerned, the reason why I wrote it is because I've been so fortunate to coach such wonderful people over the years that liked me, that cared for me, that played hard for me. And I wanted I'll tell you what, one time in 93, there was a back and forth game, and I opened the book up with this, I believe. I wrote the book, and I'm trying to think what I started off with. But it was 1993. It was a back and forth game. It was at the Community College of Beaver County. I was head coach then. I was 27 years old, I believe. And so we win the game. And players are jumping up and down, screaming and hollering, congratulating each other. And it was just a regular season game, and they started to congratulate me. And they said, "Coach, we did that for you." And I said, "Okay." I thanked them, and then I remember going to my office, and I couldn't get up out of the chair. I was just so drained, as I still am to this day whenever I coach. But I said to myself, I asked myself, why is it that these players like me? Why is it that they play hard for me? What is it? And some things hit me. Number one, I'm approachable. And number two, they know that I care. So through the years, I've used that same formula. Dick Vermeil was a Super Bowl winning coach with the St. Louis Rams. He was on my show as well. And he said, he always had a line that your players, your team, or the people that work with you or for you, they won't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Right.
And then the title of the book, Lead from the Heart Up, Not the Neck Up, that came from my mom. My mom always used to say, never speak from the neck up.
Oh, really?
From the heart up. Yeah. In other words, mean what you say it with heart, say it with passion and care. And so I turned that around with lead with your heart up, because I'll be blunt with you, I see a lot of coaches who feel that this is the way you're supposed to coach, and everybody's a robot and nobody has any feelings. And I mean, we can talk about the book and some of the stories in it later, but the coaches that I was attracted to, Jim Valvano, who he was a friend of mine. His team, the North Carolina State basketball team, they were the Cinderella story in 1983. They won the championship, and his unfortunately, he passed of cancer many years ago, and he started the Jimmy V Fund, which you'll see on ESPN. And the saying, logo, I don't want to say saying, but he always says, never give up, don't ever give up, which obviously your show is that as well. So that's why I wrote the book. I wanted other coaches, leaders, CEOs, people in those positions to know that you don't have to be a tough guy. You don't have to be, distant.
Good.
You can be nice to people. And there's a bunch of different things in the book, which we can talk about later, that shows that formula works.
Well, why don't you share something?
There's so many stories. Yeah. There was a game, matter of fact, I'll share this one. It was on my birthday several years ago. My players, if we win this game, we will have the all-time wins mark for CMU baseball, Carnegie Mellon University baseball. And I really wanted this team to have it because they were just a fantastic group. They worked hard, and they deserved that number. They deserved that accolade. They deserved it. My players, I heard them in the dugout saying, "We got to win this for Coach. It's his birthday." They didn't talk about the number. They talked about winning it for me. So we were losing 8-0, and then we made this big comeback. We tied it up, Carol. It was just an exciting game. I mean, it was crazy. Everybody's going nuts. So we tie it up. I have something that coaches usually don't have time to do, and that's think. So there was a pitching change. So I told the young man at second base who just got the game-tying hit, I said, "Brett, come here. Now look, if we score one more run, obviously we win the game. But if it's hit to left field, I'm sending you because the left fielder doesn't have much of an arm. The ball's a little wet out there. I'm sending you. If it's hit to center field, I'm going to send you because he doesn't have a good arm. But if it's hit to right field, I will not send you. Do you understand? You're going to stay right here with me." "Got it, Coach." I said, "Because he's got a cannon for an arm. He's already thrown one runner out. Plus, we have the heart of our order coming up. We have a bunch of good hitters up. So we don't need to take any chances. Do you hear me?" "Yeah, I got it, Coach." "Brett, you got to listen to me." "Coach, I got it." "It's okay." So the ball's hit where, Carol? Right field. And what does your wonderful guest do? He sends them. I send them. I just got done telling him I wasn't going to send them. But I got caught up.
You're kidding.
And I sent him. He was thrown out so bad that the catcher had to go get him. He had to go up the line and tag him. That's how far. It was a ridiculous. He was thrown out by a mile. It was my fault. And I'll never forget, I told my players, "Hey, guys, I messed up. Get me out of this," were my exact words. "Get me out of this." And the guys were very calm. They said, "Don't worry, Coach. We got him. We'll get him." Well, Carol, they didn't get him. We lost. We lost the game. And as is custom, we go down to the foul lines after a game and for the post-game talk, right? So I usually run down. Well, this time I walked, and it took me a while. to get there because we lost because of me. I blew the game. And I always wear sunglasses when I coach. And I remember putting my hands on my knees, looking at the ground, and my sunglasses were catching my tears.
Aw.
And I told my team, I'm sorry. I blew the game for you. You guys fought like hell to win this game, and you deserved it. And I blew it. I let the emotions get the best of me, and I blew it. And I'm sorry. Then what my pitcher said, Coach, if I would have pitched better, we would have won. My catcher said, Coach, if I would have gotten that hit in the third inning with the bases loaded, we would have won. My center fielder said, if I'd have caught that ball, Coach. Now, my point is, they were blaming themselves. But why? If I was mean with those guys,
That's right,
not understanding, or if I wasn't good with those guys, and I hollered at them and made them look bad or embarrassed them, when it's my turn to mess up, and we're all going to mess up, you know what they just said? They may not have said it verbally, but they just said, good for him. Now he knows what it's like. I'm glad he messed up.
Yeah.
And so stories like that, or, some players of mine, it happened in 93 and it happened in 2018. Obviously two different groups of players, but they both had the exact same story. They said, Coach, could we leave? What time's practice over? I said, 8. Do you mind if we leave it 7:15? I said, well, why? He said, we're going to a concert. And we got these tickets a long time ago. So we're going to come to practice. If you don't mind, could we leave early? I said, leave now. He said, what are you talking about? I said, Coach, guys, look. And I said it again to my players in 93, this 3 or 4 guys and 3 or 4 guys or 2 guys in 2018. By the time you leave here, go to your dorms, get showered, get dressed, pick your friends up, pick your dates up, go to the arena. You're going to be late. You're going to be flying around. I don't want you to get any accidents. I want you to enjoy yourselves. I don't want you to rush. Leave now. And those guys appreciated it so much that they played even harder for me.
That's right.
Or just like another young man in 90. He came to practice, and I title this in the book. He was there, but he wasn't. He came. He was down in the mouth. I said, "What's the matter, Bill?" He said, I'm having problems with my girlfriend. And I said, go take care of it. He said, what? And I remember exactly where this was on the field too. And I said, go take care of it. He said, you want me to leave practice? I said, yeah, go to her house, go take care of it, go fix it up. And he shot from me, he took off, right? And that kid gave me even more.
That's right. Absolutely.
He knew that I cared because I've been through that.
Yep.
And so again, winning is important. It's damn important. But at the same time, as people, they're important. So I try to show them that. And the book, the first part of the book, Carol, is how I wasn't treated so well by some of the coaches that I worked with, and some mistakes that I made, including that game I told you about. Then in the middle of the book are a bunch of great questions that I received over the years, and past couple years, and I wrote the answers to them. I think they're good answers. And the last part of the book is about 27, 28 former players of mine that gave me a testimonial. And I said, write whatever you want, however long you want, say whatever you want. And they blew me away with some of the nice things that they said. And it's funny because last night I was on the phone with a kid that I coached 3 years ago. We were talking about some different investing. Another kid yesterday I coached 5 years ago. I got him an assistant coaching job here locally. Then right before you called, one of my best friends, Vince Kaplak, we've been friends since 1988, and I coached him. So I've been so fortunate to have great people to coach, and many of them have become very, very good friends of mine. And so the awards are great, the championships are nice, the rings and all that stuff, but the relationships are that much more important to me.
Well, that's Leading from the Heart, which is a perfect title for your book.
Yeah.
Every example you gave here, that was foremost in my thoughts. That's exactly what you're doing. You're a strong leader, but you are leading from the heart, and you understand people, which is all part of leading from the heart.
And I thank you for that. And I got to tell you another thing. There was a young man my first year at CMU, big kid, about 6'4", not big as far as big build. He was 6'4", tall kid, glasses, curly hair, nice kid, but he was always late. And one thing about me is I'm never, ever, ever late. Now, at CMU, I am more understanding because they do have crazy class times and lab work, and they're up till 3, 4 in the morning. But this kid was just always late because he was late.
Right.
So I said, look, that's it. No more. You're not going to be late anymore. I've given you so many opportunities, and you keep being late. Late for games, late for practices, late for meetings. That's it. I've had it. He said, Coach, I'm sorry. You're right. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you. That's just me. I have a bad habit of being late. Excuse me. And he said, I'm not going to be late anymore. I said, okay, Chris. All right. So the next day we have a game. We're meeting in the gym at 8:30. I'm there around 6:45. I'm there way early, right? And this kid was there at 7:00.
Oh,
So let me take that back. Maybe 7:30, whatever. He was there way early.
right.
Way early. I said, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Coach, no, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be. I said, okay, good. So maybe about an hour later, before we take off, I see him, and he's dressed in, what do they call those pants? Cargo pants,
Oh, yeah.
a polo shirt, a backpack, a hat, a polo hat, and glasses. And I think flip-flops, sandals, whatever. He's at the doorway, and I lost it. I snapped on him because you came to the game, or first of all, you promised me you weren't going to be late. You were here way early. Then the whole team sees you, and now you go back out of your way and get undressed in regular clothes, and you're going to come back to the gym. Now he's pushing me. Now he's going to test me. It's my first year. Let's test this guy. So I lost it. So here I am. I'm 5'6.5" on a good hair day, and I'm looking at him. He's 6'4", and I'm just hollering at him, and I'm giving it to him good, okay? And I'm saying a bunch of things to him. And all of a sudden, for whatever reason, and he's not saying a word. He's just staring at me. I look to my left, and there's that kid, my player. He had an identical twin.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't know that. And everybody's watching me hollering at this. And this kid didn't go to school there. He just came to see his brother, and he's saying, what in the hell is this guy hollering at me for? He's just staring at me.
Oh,
and
goodness.
Everybody just cracks up
No
after
kidding.
Yeah, and so the lesson in the book and the story, because every story has a little bit of
That's right.
I call it a timeout, whatever the hell I call it, timeout, whatever, to go over the story. And the lesson there is, if you're going to holler at somebody, make sure you're hollering at the right person.
No kidding. Great story. I love it. So what is your goal now? Do you have any goals that you're trying to attain, or do you feel that, you have had incredible accomplishments, and you can share some of those too, if you would, please.
That's a great question. And I was talking to my player yesterday, my former player, Rayner, yesterday, and that is, Jackie Robinson wrote a book years ago, obviously, and I never had it made. Although I'm extremely happy with my life, I have a great wife, I have a great daughter. Unfortunately, my mom, as I said, passed away 32 years ago, and my dad, in 2 weeks, 17 years. I miss my dad terribly. But I have some great friends, and I've accomplished pretty much everything that I wanted to accomplish, Carol. But you know what? I'm not done yet.
That's right.
I'm not done yet.
I hear you.
I want to do more things.
Yes.
I want to win more championships and do better at CMU. I want our scouting company, Global Scouting Bureau, I want that to be even more successful. I want to write another book. I want my podcast that I do to do even better. The TV shows that I do to do even better. And I always tell my wife, I'm always going to come up with something. I just took on a position with a company called 409 Leadership Academy, where I speak to different kids and different organizations. Different schools, organizations, motivational type thing, leadership. And I want to do that, and I want to have impact on people. So I will always chase. I will always, if I achieve a certain number, I want to surpass that number.
Exactly.
Yes. If I win one award, I want to win another. And you talk about some achievements, and fortunately, I've been inducted into some Hall of Fames and won some Coach of the Years and things like that. But every time that I've gone up to speak, accepting the award, not once did I ever say, well, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that. I remember, no, it was always about my parents, first and foremost, thanking God and thanking my parents and the people who hired me and my players, because without my players, okay, you're not going to win. I don't care what anybody says.
Right. Absolutely.
Bill Belichick for New England Patriots. Everybody says, oh, he's the greatest of all time. Well, guess what happened when Tom Brady didn't play for him anymore? He didn't make the play and do so well. So you need the horses, as I always say. So there's so many things I want to accomplish. I want to, as I said, I want to improve on what I'm doing now. But I'm always coming up with new things. I'm doing another show in Florida with a lady named Barbara Fairbairn. We are doing a sports show every other Monday. It's a TV radio show in Florida. I mean, of course, I'll be based out of Pittsburgh and she's out there. There's a documentary that's going to be made on my life/career. I do some boxing. I do a boxing TV show here. I do some boxing. I'm a boxing announcer, analyst, and of course the baseball stuff and some speaking. I want to do more speaking. I want to have impact on people, as I said, and talk about my book and talk to people, players, or anybody who has dreams. They don't have to be in sports, Carol.
Of course not. Yeah.
Yeah. It can be whatever it is you want, because if things happen for me, again, they can happen for others. So I just want to keep going. And real quick, Gene Simmons, the guy from Kiss, he was dirt poor growing up, and his mom was very important in his life. And he remembers one time that he brought a check to her for $10 million. He said, look at this, Ma. And she looked at it and she said, that's wonderful. What's next? and my mom, she was very proud of me. My mom was very proud of me. But as I said, she passed when I was 23. She got to see me coach high school ball. I mean, I think she sees everything that I do now, but that's another story. But she just always, okay, that's great. You won that award. Congratulations. I'm very proud of you. Now what are you going to do? So that's the way I am. The word next.
That's right. And that's
like
what keeps you motivated.
It keeps me motivated. And plus, I want to be an inspiration to my daughter. She's a sophomore at Pitt. She's going to be 20 in May. She's doing great in school. She's in the color guard, and I want to show her that my life, and she knows everything about me, and she's heard the stories 3,000 times, and hopefully that motivates her to.
And the documentary, why are they doing a documentary of your life? And are they going to make it like a motivational type piece as well, or strictly accomplishments?
No, it'll be a motivational thing. We started doing it a while back, but of course COVID hit and everything, the brakes were put on it. But I have some great people that I do 3 TV shows with: Steel City Sports World, Pittsburgh's Ring Talk, and Pittsburgh Steeler Pre-Snap Show. And that's Smokin' Jim Frazier and Luther Dupree. And you can watch us on scsportsworld.com. And they're on my show all the time too. Just 2 wonderful people who I just love them to death, and we have a great time together. But Luther's going to produce it and film it, and Jim's going to be the interviewer. Is that right? Interviewer, yeah. And we'll go to different spots. We're going to go where Three River Stadium used to be and walk there. And we're going to walk around my hometown of Swigley. We'll be at my house and some different places that mean something to me, and just tell the story from day one to present. And again, it's to show people that, look, it's hard to say that you want to be like Michael Jordan or a Tom Brady,
right,
or whoever's out there, right? But it's not hard to say I can do what Claudio does, because it isn't. There's nothing special about me, and I'm not trying to be a humble guy or anything like that, because I'm not really that. I don't think I'm that humble of a guy. But again, things can happen. And I've been through a lot of hell, a lot of rejections, 2 parents passing, some backstabbers. Look, I haven't gone through anything that anyone else hasn't gone through. Other people have gone through the same thing. I just got knocked down 6 times and I got up 7.
That's right.
So that's what I tried to do.
Absolutely. So in summary, would you like to share anything else? Plus, what happened in 1999 with Ted Williams?
See, that's another story that I really love to share with people. 1999, I was watching the 1999 All-Star Game out of Boston. I was in my living room. I was by myself, and I was just a little down because I was climbing the ladder. People say it was quick. I didn't think it was quick, but whatever. And I got to Division I level in college. I left that that job. Well, I was actually fired from that job. I was going to leave, but he fired me. He got rid of me before I quit. We just did not get along. The coach and I, we were just totally different people and totally different coaches. And it was just best that I left for many reasons. So for a couple of years, I was out of it. I didn't coach anywhere. So then I got a job in February of 1999 working for Quigley Catholic High School for a whopping $800 a year. And a year. So let's fast forward to, I believe, July of 99. So I'm watching the All-Star game, and they had this fantastic ceremony with the current All-Stars, past All-Stars, I mean, legends, Hall of Famers.
Mm-hmm.
And then they drive Ted Williams in, okay? And he tips his cap to the crowd, and everybody's shaking his hand. And it was such a great moment if you're a baseball historian and like the old days and the new days, right? It was just a great moment. And all of a sudden, Carol, I got sad. And I said, I am about as far away from reaching my goals and dreams as you can possibly be. And I got really down. I don't want to say depressed, but I was just really down. So fast forward to May of 2002 in New Jersey. Now, I got my job as a pro baseball scout, general manager for the Global Scouting Bureau. We had a pro baseball tryout camp. Who was one of the participants of that camp? John Henry Williams, Ted Williams' son, who was in that car with him. He was in that car with him at the All-Star game, okay, with his dad. Well, long story short, I signed John Henry Williams to a pro baseball contract in 2002. And, you think about it. That day in 99, I was as down as you can get. And I ended up signing that guy who I'm watching.
That's amazing.
It is amazing. It's unbelievable how things can happen if you just keep at it. And it's going to be tough because, like I said, and I got to share this with you real quick if it's okay. In November of 99, it's weird how I remember these things. November of 99, my wife and I were going to watch one of my best friends, Vinny Pazienza, former 5-time world champion boxer, fight. So we were going to take a bus, because she didn't want to fly, take a bus to Foxwoods Casino in Connecticut. So I wanted to get some reading material. So I picked up this magazine, and in the back of it, it said they were looking for baseball players for overseas, professional baseball overseas. And it was the Global Scouting Bureau. So I told my wife, I said, when I get home, I'm going to call this company. So I can speak Italian. I said, maybe I can be an asset to them somehow. So from November of 99, every month, at least 2 to 3 times a month, I would email, call James Gamble, the owner of the Global Scouting Bureau. And then finally, in January of 2001, he gave me a call. I'll never forget what he said. His exact words were, "Don't do backflips, but I have a job offer for you." Now, I'm making $800 a year coaching baseball. My dad owned a landscape business, and I worked with him, but that wasn't the goal or the dream. And I have a baby. We have a baby due in May. So I said, "Yeah, what is it?" He gave me the numbers, and it was a lot of money. You have your own TV show, radio show, place to stay, car. And the money was great. Everything's good. My ears are like, wow, okay, great. And then he said, "It'll be in Italy." And silent. He said, "So when do you want to sign?" I said, "Could I give you a call back?" He said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "No." I said, I want to talk it over with my wife. And
right.
You've been calling me every, three times a month for over a year. This is an opportunity of a lifetime. And you have to think about it. I said, "James, I'm sorry, but yeah, I kind of do." He said, "Okay, you got about 9-10 days." I said, "All right." So I went downstairs because my dad lived with us, and I told him about it. And he had a lot of health issues. And he said, "Yeah, let's go." I said, "Dad, you don't understand. We'd have to live in Italy for 10 months out of the year. That's okay. This is your dream. This will be a good shot for you to go after your, the dream to be in a professional baseball here in the States." I said, "Oh, man, okay." I said, "My wife will say no," right? So my wife gets home, Linda gets home, and I tell her about it. And she very calmly said, "Okay, let's go." I said, you guys don't seem to understand, okay? And they didn't care about the money. They just wanted me to achieve my
exactly.
I said, "Our daughter's going to be born in Italy, or you guys want to stay here without me for 10 months? You guys have to go with me. Or at least 8 months, whatever." "Yeah, that's fine." I said, oh my God. So I'll never forget. I went to Three River Stadium a couple days later, and I went for about a 4 hour walk in the cold. And I remember coming home. My dad said, "Where were you?" And I told him. He said, "You were thinking about that job, weren't you?" I said, "Yeah, I was." And he said, "Well, if you have to think about an offer like that long, then it's not for you." And I felt all these bricks off my shoulders.
Really?
But then I knew, because I didn't want to go to Italy. I mean, I have family there, okay, but I didn't want to live there.
Right.
I wanted to be here. So I called James up knowing he was going to cuss me out, knowing he was going to tell me, "Don't ever call me again. You wasted my time. Good luck to you." And he said very simply, I said, "James, look, I appreciate it more than you know, but I just can't do it. I'm sorry." He said, "Okay, how'd you like to work for me?" I said, "Well, geez, that's what the hell I wanted to do to begin with." So I've been with him ever since, and I owe the guy.
Are you kidding? Oh, that's incredible.
And he's given me, like I said, even the Carnegie Mellon job. This one young man, Danny Green, who was kind of doing an internship with us, recommended me for the CMU job. So many things happened because of the Global Scouting Bureau and James. And I'll tell you, my prayers anymore are pretty much thank you. That's it. I'm just so grateful.
Right.
And again, I've been through hell. Trust me when I tell you. Watching my mom, holding my mom in my arms when she passed, her looking at me saying her last words, "You still need me. I don't want to go." That was devastating. My dad, 53 days of hell when he was in the hospital. That was torture. And then the idiots that I had to deal with, and the hundreds of rejections that I had, and while all your friends are doing fine and living it up and have their jobs and all that, you're still chasing that carrot, not knowing if you're going to catch it, because there wasn't a set pattern, a set map to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But I'm grateful, and like I said, I thank God every day. I'm grateful for the life I have. Great wife, great daughter, great friends, and I enjoy what I do, and hopefully it lasts a little while longer, Carol.
I agree. And everything that you said, as I said at the top of the show, I'm not a sports person per se. And the only thing that I did watch growing up in Detroit, Michigan was baseball as far as sports go. So I do understand a little bit of the concept. But everything that you said was something that you could relate to in life. You had a lot of gold nuggets in there, a lot of inspiration, motivation, and you're a great storyteller. And so I thoroughly enjoyed what you shared with us today. I thank you for that motivation. I'm sure that everyone listening could pick out some of those nuggets or all of them and relate to them and realize that they too can accomplish no matter what you have to come up against, no matter what you've had happen to you, but you keep your goals right and you treat the people with you, whether you're working with them, living with them, playing with them, you treat them as you would want to be treated and respect them, just as you said, to lead them as well, if you're in that position, from the heart and not the head. I really, really thank you. Anything else in closing?
Well, I appreciate you, and you have a great show that's very important because everybody needs to hear what your guests and what you have to say, because again, we all have our battles. We all,
That's
especially
right.
now, there's a lot of tough things going on out there, obviously, and we need the tools, not motivation, but the tools to handle them. And so I really appreciate the opportunity. And if people want to know more about me or get in touch with me or get my book or listen to any of my shows, you can get your fill of old Claude in those shows.
Actually, all that information will be on your page,
Oh,
and they'll
thank
have
you.
all the connections. Your books will be there. Everything will be there. So all they have to do when they hear the show, they will be able to click on whatever they're interested in and get your book as well.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much, Claudio, for being on.
Thank
Never,
you. Thank
ever
you. You're the best.
give up hope.
That's right. Thank you again.
Thank you for listening to Never Ever Give Up Hope, featuring Carol Graham. Did you know that most people succeed because they are determined to? Quitting was never an option. Carol loves your comments and will respond to each one. So please subscribe and review this podcast. A rating of 5 stars would be outstanding and appreciated. Remember, if you are still here, there is always hope.